Folks, welcome to the last two classes of the CPA Coders Python training. By now, we have built many programs together in Python. And in the future, you're going to build many Python programs yourself to automate your work. After you build a program, oftentimes you have the need to upgrade such programs with new codes or new logics constantly. And how to track changes and how to manage different versions of the code is a big problem. To resolve this problem, developers invented functions called Git, and also from this Git concept, there are software solutions such as GitHub and GitLab are born. So in the last two sessions, I'm going to demonstrate how to use Git to track changes of your code, and then to make sure you can synchronize the code with a remote repo as well, so you don't ever lose your code. And also you can track changes and roll back the changes if you want. With this, let's go to our VS Code, and I will briefly show you how to create your first Git. Before we enter any Git command, we first need to create a special file within our Python Finance projects folder. This special file has a special extension .gitignore. So by the name of it, by the extension name, you probably can guess what does this mean. Ignore is basically tells the system ignore those files or those folders. Within this gitignore file, you can add file folders that you don't want the git function to track changes within files of those folders. By convention, normally we do not want the Git to track virtual environment files. For example, whatever third-party packages you install within the virtual environment, normally you don't want Git to track those file changes because there could be thousands or source files in there. Like really it has no meaning if you want to track those files. You really only want Git to track the files that you created. So with this, let's add a folder within the gitignore file, basically add the folders that we want Git to ignore. So the first folder I want Git to ignore is certainly the virtual environment folder. So after we put these folders in, later on when we start the git function, git command, it will ignore all the files within those folders. So this is the first folder I ask Git to ignore. And also I have another file called old files. So if I look at the old files, those are the old examples, CSVs, pictures we created in the past. So those ones we don't want Git to track those anymore. So I will just put the old files folder within the gitignore file. And also I can add any individual files too. Like if I don't want Git to track any of the Excel file, I can simply use the star key, and here I will just type Excel. So this means for any of the Excel files, I don't want Git to track. And similarly, CSV, I don't want Git to track any CSV files, and I don't want Git to track any picture files, PNG files. So by doing those three, I essentially excluded all those files here to be tracked by Git. With this, let's click Ctrl+S to save the gitignore file. Once we do this, and we can close this, we're ready to enter our git command to start the git operations. To start the git command, I basically have two methods to do it. One is to use the source control button on the left side of VS Code, So if I click in here, you will see I have an option to initialize repository. So this is the first option that is available to me to create the Git repository. Alternatively, I have an option to start a terminal and simply put git command within the terminal. The first command I want to put in, because I don't have a Git repository yet, I need to first initialize a Git repository. So the command is git init. Once I hit enter, you will see my source control menus here changed. And it's listing all the changes tracked under this folder and basically listed all the Python files we created so far, including the git ignore file we just created. But notice there is no file included from the virtual environment folder, and there is no Excel file or CSV file or PNG file included in here, because earlier we excluded Excel files, CSV files, and PNG files from being tracked by Git. With this, now let's use the VS Code built-in function commit to commit our first changes to create our first version of our files. So I can put some description to tell this is what this version is for. So here I will simply say initial commit. With this, I can accept the commit message, and it will prompt me to say, do you want to save the changes you made to commit edit messages? I will say yes, save. With this, I can publish this branch. I created this first version. Now I'm ready to publish this branch. And this branch, I can either publish to a remote branch called, or I can publish to a public repository. So just be very careful here. If you don't want anybody to see your repository, you want to make sure you publish to GitHub private repository. If you're working on an open source project and you want to publish to the public, and so everyone can collaborate with your repository, you can basically publish GitHub public repository. So for me, I want to publish to GitHub public repository, so I can simply click this. With this, I will see the notification successfully publish this on GitHub. So I can now go to GitHub to basically look at what my published branch looks like. So let's go to my GitHub to take a look. So here you see I basically published all the files, including the folders, to a remote GitHub repository called Python Finance Projects. So all the file structures is saved, and essentially I have all those Python files uploaded to GitHub. So this is our first Git, and also we published this Git successfully to a remote repository that is GitHub.